What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. At Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. But this video is entitled Willie Lynch Female Empowerment. Talking to BMT earlier, and something came up, just a theory. You know, Willie Lynch letter, and I don't need y'all stupid ass comments about it's not real, brother. It's not what this is about, jackass. Don't do it. I'm gonna just block you because y'all getting on my nerves with this particular nitpicking bullshit. Now, but there's a particular letter where, you know, you masculinize the girls and you feminize the boys. And I thought about it in the sense of, you know, empowerment. Because when it came to our black economy, you know, the black Wall Streets that happened, all the lynchings, a lot of that was was tied to Jim Crow specifically. From then on out, was tied to business, building an economy and wealth building in the black community. And to tear that down, this is where all the murder, lynching stuff came from. You know, yeah, we got the right to vote, but you had all these, you know, crazy laws that how many gumballs are in this jar? Well, if you don't know, you can't vote type thing, you know, or they kill you if you do. And spawned out of that also was the families believing that, you know, these girls need to get an education, not just out of, you know, because out of equality, but also to empower themselves, because you quote unquote can't depend on the men. Why would that be? Because a lot of the men were getting killed back then. You got to remember, before Rosa Parks, it was a black veteran who got lynched on a bus because he didn't want to get to the back. They wouldn't lynch the women. So historically, we talk about black men, and when black men stood up, the Ku Klux Klan and all that other stuff, that's where the lynchings and all the town burnings came from, because black men had been making money, or they had been fighting the good fight. But it would be an anomaly to lynch a black woman. You know, that wasn't the case. You know, there are the stories that are, you know, one major story is the woman who was pregnant and they cut the baby out of it and stumped the baby. I mean, those people are sick. They're still sick, but whatever. But because of all of that, you want the girls to go to school, so the girls could be successful. The girls could be scientists. Because looking back, you know, there are a lot of successful, intelligent black people who were in STEM, you know, from the 80s back, maybe the 90s and back, you know, but more so, you know, inventors and all that stuff, I would say more so from the 80s and back. Or some of the billionaires and rich folks now that are in STEM graduated in the early 80s or late 70s from institutions, some prestigious, some not. Some of the brightest minds were in that era where, you know, these guys could make things, because all of our inventors aren't in the era of just way back in the day. Some of them have things that are relevant in the current times too, but you don't think about it because of the new age of, you know, equality, feminism, female empowerment. And the Willie Lynch part of it comes where families have always leaned on the girls more, or supported the girls more in the last maybe 30 years. Maybe some people say 30, 50, whatever. So they can get their education. They can get this, that, and the third, and move up the ladder. Because ultimately, they're not going to lynch these women, you know. And not thinking of, that's not a bad thing to empower the women, but it's but it's also a bad thing when you empower them to a degree where you think that they're going to challenge economically a patriarchal system, which is not going to happen. And the reason I say that is because, you know, when they say the brothers are a threat, you know, the women aren't a threat when it comes to empowering the community. That's why they say they have like effeminate black men, because they're not a threat to empowering the black community. That's really something charged on the men. So I think a lot of these families wanted their girls to be successful, thinking that, you know, they can kind of infiltrate like the guys did and build things like the guys did, but they wouldn't get lynched. Like I said, just a theory. But not taking into consideration, building is not really in their nature, you know. So you don't see these, you see more camaraderie, networking, socializing than you do developing and creating and building. So even right now, a lot of educated sisters, but it doesn't translate to an economy. It translates to, at best, a high-paying position, and they're an upper-class consumer, but not an economy. You know, not an economy that can benefit a community. And this is what I mean by Willie Lynch female empowerment. You know, kind of like the Moynihan report about, you know, what works for other people is not going to work for us the same way. Kind of piggybacking on feminism. Because when sisters say they feminists, you know, white women, quote unquote, started feminism because they wanted equality with their man, but they never separated from their men. They're with their men. So it's not like they want equality. They just want their piece of the pie extra outside of what their men, what they're getting from their men. They don't say, you know, I chose feminism, so we're on our own and we're going to build a female infrastructure. That doesn't happen. Feminism, and even in the white community, is still under the foundation of a patriarchy. But when you kind of Willie Lynch reverse engineer female empowerment in our community, it doesn't end like that. You know, because ultimately, even if a woman's in a good position, she's still looking for a man to provide for her. Because that's just nature. Like, it's not you know, it is what it is. Like, that's what was going on. So the family could want you to get an education and want you to get a position and support you along the way, because they feel like if you get the position, you can act out of pocket. Well, you won't get killed if you act out of pocket. That's what I'm gonna say. Because the more and more I see, like, I went to the movies yesterday and I saw a couple of movie previews, and some of them was disturbing. And one of them was like 30 going on 13 again. And, you know, the depiction of black women just being extra over the top and belligerent is pretty much a Hollywood norm at this point. Now, that type of behavior was normally something that'd get a black man killed. And for this to be like the Hollywood depiction of our women, that says a lot. This is part of the reason why it made me think of making this video, is because I think ultimately empowering our women thinking that they wouldn't get lynched has put them in a position where they're in a no-win situation. And, you know, probably want the men to help them out in this one, because I think something that was probably done with good intentions has evolved into something that is just highly dysfunctional. And for some is the norm, because this, you know, masculinized woman thing is like, is too much at this point. It's like way too much. So yeah, I'm gonna end it right there. Like, share, subscribe, because you gotta say that. I don't like saying that. That's why I hardly ever say it. But we out now. Peace.